United States of America, and greetings to every single one of you all over the planet. My name is KevinJJohnston. This is the Kevin J. Johnston Show. We've got some amazing guests joining us tonight, especially our Canadian Muslim activist, Kamel, El-Cheikh. That is exactly how you pronounce that name, everybody. He'll be joining us shortly to talk about the Million Man March that is planned for Ottawa on Tuesday, August 15th, like you see dead center of the slide. Oh my Lord, did I get that wrong? It's Wednesday. I made a boo-boo. I made a spelling mistake. It's Wednesday, September 20th. And we're going to be talking at length about this. And I, of course, will fix. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Ed, for correcting me on that one. I do certainly appreciate that. Oh my God. This is what happens when you are, Ed, leave the buttons alone. I got this. This is what happens when you're the producer, the graphic designer, the marketeer, the fundraiser, the talent, the looks, the beauty. That's when you're everything. Mistakes get made. But that's all right. We're not here to talk about mistakes. We're here to talk about some fun stuff first, and then we're going to dive right into why it is that every single one of you on this date that you see right there, Wednesday, the 20th of September, 9 a.m., you're going to walk out of your schools and you're going to go to Ottawa. That's what you're going to do, because we are tired of the radical leftist LGBTQ XYZ ABCD and so on telling us that we are bad because we like our family values. We liked our country the way that it was when everybody had a common viewpoint and a common goal, which was the betterment of society, the betterment of our nation, the betterment of ourselves. And now what we've got in Canada is a whole bunch of left-wing crybabies who feel that they've got the right to sit around and play video games and have people like, I don't know, you and me and you pay for them to sit around and do nothing, except when it's time to wreak a bit of havoc. And then they put their little masks on and they get their signs and they call themselves Antifa. Antifa, of course, is a group they call themselves anti-fascist. What they are is a far left fascist, Marxist, communist, violent terror group. That's all that they are. But we're going to talk about them a bit later in the show. The first thing that we got to hit them with, though, or hit you with, is this. There you go. So if this made this, did Captain Caveman make what you see in the middle of the screen there? That is Justin Trudeau and his eldest son. They proudly went out and watched the Barbie movie, and they couldn't wait to dress in pink and purple and God knows what color underwear, or panties, we'll call them, posed for this photograph and expected all of us to accept that photograph as something, adult, as something that we liked, as something that we wanted to see. Ed, obviously you've got a comment to make. Go ahead.
Just a few days before they took that picture, Trudeau asked the country and the media to give us some privacy.
You're right. Okay, so here's what happened. I put this joke out. I stuck it on Instagram first. And usually, ladies, I'm gonna scold you now, women, okay? You get emotional about stuff like this. And then you'll say things like, well, golly gee whiz and willikers and whatever else, Kevin. You can't insult his son. What are you doing? You can insult him, but not his kid. Okay, let's cover that for a second. Trudeau, with his COVID policies, well, how many kids did he kill? How many of your children died, got sick, myocarditis, passing out, puking in the middle of games, basketball games, dying in the middle of hockey games, baseball umpires calling, you're out, dropping dead? You think for a second that I care about his adult son, who is the benefactor of all the illegal money that this guy has put in his pocket? No, absolutely not. Now, keep this in mind. Also, everybody, think about this. This Captain Caveman looking guy in the middle here could, in about 10 years, be your prime minister. Think about that. Pierre Idiot Trudeau gave birth, Castro gave birth to what you see in the middle there, what we've had to endure. Captain Caveman gave birth to what you see in the middle there. And because he's got the Trudeau name, stupid people will forget what Trudeau Middle has done to all of us and probably elect him. So I am preemptively mocking the future prime minister of the country because Canadians will vote him in. And I want to tell all of you out there that it's one thing for you to tell me that I shouldn't do it. It's another thing to flat out insult me for doing it. What's the point of that? Why are you getting so upset about what is called political cartooning? This is called satire, everybody. Don't get upset. You don't have to shout at me. You don't have to email me profane things. A couple of you took photographs of backyard dog poop and emailed that to me, telling me that I had no right to insult his kid. His kid is an adult. His kid will be a millionaire because we, the taxpayer, made him that. That's it. It's called satire. Laugh at it and carry on with your life. There we go. Well, we want to dive right into what the Million Man March is. And of course, we should call it maybe the Million Person March. Is that correct, Raven? Did I get that right or did I get that wrong when I said man versus person? Go ahead. How are you? Oh, microphone. Microphone. Your microphone is not on.
Well, I am a woman, and I'm just happy if we can get it back to two genders. Right?
Sexist. No, we have to use the term sex. Gender is made up. Sex is real. Gender is made up. Go ahead.
Gender is real and sex is made up. Okay. Like I went to health school and there was just, when I went to school, there was health class and there was just two genders. At that time, it was called genders. So
Sexes though. Two sexes. There's two sexes.
Well, I don't believe in this whole I feel like a woman stuff, Kevin.
Right.
But, I wake up in the morning and I go, ooh, I feel like a woman, but I am a woman. So I'm allowed to say that. I'm deeply offended when a man says I'm a woman. And you know what also really bothers me about this whole situation is it's one thing to be accepted. Okay. Like I'm fine. I have tons of lesbian and gay friends that don't even get what's happening either. They've got their crash helmets on because their identity is being hacked. But what I also don't get is that we accept them. We accept them. We accept their lifestyles. They can do whatever they want in their bedrooms. But what they want is people like me, which is a biological female, to affirm that I believe that they're female. And I don't. And I can't affirm that, which is why we have such controversy right now, is because not only do they want us to be like, hey, you can do whatever you want, but they want to be like, hey, I'm a chest feeder, not a breastfeeder. I'm a womb carrier. I'm not a woman. I tell you what, you try squeezing a watermelon out of your tushy and see what happens. Then I'll call you a woman.
No. I did a stand-up comedy routine that everybody was crying, laughing at. And I say, as men, we have absolutely no clue what it's like to give birth until we eat far too much pizza the night before. And when you're sitting down, your butt goes, bah! And you look in the bowl and it's about that big. So from time to time, I appreciate the pain that women go through. Believe me. I used to call my mom whenever that would happen to me and say, hey, Ma, I understand. I get it. Thank you. I totally get it. So we should not be cracking poop jokes. So far that's two. Why don't we start talking about what your involvement is in the Million Person March and really what is it all about? Go ahead.
Well, my involvement, I'm a co-founder with two fantastically wonderful organizers and upstanding citizens in our community. We have Dean Mooney. He's a corporate security intelligence service person, and Kamel, I can never pronounce his last name. I will get it right before we hit September 20th. El-Cheikh, there we go. I said it right. Who's been leading the Muslim community. I was arrested 5 weeks ago for protesting. So I figured go big or go home. And it was time for me to have my coming out party. I was working in the back for quite some time to help set up the bones of this beast. I can tell you that I cut my teeth on the convoy, which was awesome. And I say to this day that if we had have been organized like we were in the last week of the Ottawa convoy, we would have definitely had a much bigger impact. So this time we have all of the lessons that we learned in our previous experience all implemented up front this time. I'm telling you right now, it is going to be epic.
Well, we're certainly hoping for another truckers convoy style of thing. And what I would love to see, and this is me coming like just flat out telling everyone, you got to keep your kids away from the school boards. If it's publicly funded school in Canada or the United States, you got to yank your kids out now because they're not educating them. They're indoctrinating them. They're barking out ridiculous commands like, you must be a boy today because I say so. You are going to be a girl next week on Thursday between the hours of noon and 3 p.m. because I say so. And so does some Antifa guy. He says so too. It's disgusting. And for children to be exposed to that kind of stuff well before they should be, like, we're talking grade 6, grade 7, grade 8, is criminal. It's criminal at best. And let's reflect back. I'm a little older than you. I'm 52 now, or sorry, next month I am. But I remember sex was not something that we had access to on the internet. We were still playing on the Atari 2600. So for boys who were curious about it, we had to make deals with guys who were drunk or buying cigarettes to buy us porno magazines. And we would go and like 9 boys all looking around with a flashlight on in the park. Like, oh, look, but we got bored of it. There was only one magazine. There's really only about 9 good photos in it. The rest is articles or cigarette ads. So we close it and go back to bike riding or hide and go seek or tag or throwing eggs at cars. But now, not only do kids have access to it 24 hours a day online, but the schools are forcing it on them. Like the ones who didn't even know it existed, pornography, it's being forced on them. And it's gross.
Yeah, kinda. Big time gross. We actually, talking about that, where my real dig in with my feet down here happened is when we found out the president of the Newfoundland and Labrador English District School Board Gender Diversity Program. When did that come about? Openly said on Twitter that schools, here's a news flash for you, schools are not meant for ABCs or 1, 2, 3s, but rather a deep political and social engineering for the future. So when you have a president of a Newfoundland Teachers Association openly saying that it's an indoctrination camp for politics and grooming, it's kind of a, you can't really argue with that. We have to stand up for our kids now because we can't let this happen because we're so busy focusing on freedom in our country. We can't leave behind the people that are going to have to defend that freedom or continue on if we don't successfully do this in our generation. I mean, it's taken how many decades to get us into this hot mess of complacency? It could take us decades to get out of it, realistically. So we're going to have a whole bunch of, cats going to fire departments, and we're going to have a bunch of toasters going to the police department. It's like in schools here in Newfoundland, in St. Matthews, with that video that went viral that said that basically we were the most indoctrinated place in the country, they're actually teaching children as young as in grade 4 that they can identify as nothing. How do you identify as nothing?
All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, you can't. And that type of perversion is something that needs to be it needs to be fought. I did a show back in 2018. I was contacted for some reason. I was contacted by this group of losers, maniacs, who wanted some free press. They were trying to bring this type of indoctrination into the schools back in 2017, 2018. So I did an interview with them, and the girl starts off. First thing she says in the interview is that children begin questioning their gender as early as age 2. And I stopped her dead. I said, no, that is not true at all. Children who are 2, they want hugs from mommy and daddy and grandma and grandpa, and they want ice cream and lollipop. Some of them still prefer to drink out of a bottle. That's what they want. They want to play toys. They want to go choo-choo and play with cars and make forts. That's what 2-year-olds are concerned about. She sickened to me in the first sentence. So what I did, you guys will find that on my BitChute channel, is I designed this maniac group of 9. I made it look like the Brady Bunch. I called them the perverted bunch. And all of a sudden I started getting attacked by Antifa because they were in line with Antifa before I even knew what Antifa was. So the perverts have this violent fascist group, Antifa, to commit heinous acts of violence against people like yourself and myself who don't want to go along with it.
I'm their pinup girl. I did a live last night, and then in my email box, I got a subscription to the Satanic Church in Canada. And you know what else is interesting about this subscription, because they totally enrolled me in it, is that they can get an app on Google and an app on iTunes. I couldn't get an app on iTunes. I was a nationally recognized humanitarian that was standing up for children and standing up for people's rights to not get vaccinated. And I tried to build an app, and they were like, no, community standards, you do not fit our criteria. But if I was a Satanist, I'd have an app right now.
Yeah, especially if you're a Satanist convicted pedophile, you'd have an app and they would pay you for it. That's exactly how it would work.
And then I could sue the government after and take more of your tax-paying dollars and go out and reoffend. It's perfect.
Yes. I have you. Okay, so we now have a good friend of ours in from Lebanon. Let's bring the gentleman in right now. And we just have to have a quick peek here. Hold on. Wait. I'm not wearing my glasses. So the name of this guy who's not quite white is Kamel El-Cheikh. Is that right?
Oh, that's pretty soprano-like, but it's Kamel El-Cheikh. I know
Yeah,
it's a lot.
that.
It's a lot on the tongue.
Yeah, tell me.
You
Well,
have
we
to have
always used
that
to laugh.
Arabic tongue. Yeah, we use a lot about,
Yeah, so the sheep. Let's
Sorry?
talk about the KH for a quick second there, because KH is a common spelling to get that k sound. So what is with the KH combined there? Go ahead.
Yeah, sheikh. But it won't happen for our fellow white Canadians. It's too much of a tongue twister. You gotta really work at it.
Let me try. You said sheikh. Is it
Sheikh.
sheikh?
It's-
Not
a
bad.
Yeah, not bad. You know what?
Yeah.
Keep trying,
Not bad.
Kevin, and pretty soon I'm gonna have to bring you to Lebanon to talk to some of the Lebanese here.
Well, as we discussed earlier today, my friend, my aunt is Lebanese, and she's got that big Arab beak, the one that usually extends 5 feet from the front of the face.
Yes,
And
the Italian.
my cousin
Right.
Don, yeah, he got the same beak from her. So we should probably travel there with the two of them, and that way we can watch some clack beaks with everybody in the crowd. How's that sound?
Yeah, you know what? I'm not surprised about the Lebanese beak. I mean, look, I'm just visiting. I've never been to Lebanon in my life. So I came to Canada. I was 7 years old. But we do have that Italian beak. Mine's a little bit, it's getting there. Lebanon was ruled by the Romans and Italians and Greeks. So we inherited, we mingled. So there's a little bit of Christian Muslim mingling 400 or 500 years ago. So if you see a Lebanese, sometimes they will have that beak.
Yes, I got you on that, and it's in my family. So, all right, my friend, listen, you and I are of the same mindset. We are completely fed up with the LGBTQ nonsense, especially with it being forced in our schools and with naked men walking around and waving their schlongs in front of babies and children. And the parents are going, "Ooh, isn't this progressive?" Well, it's not progressive. We agree that it's horrendous. So you decided to cook up a march. Tell us all about it. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? Muslims are relatively new to the dance, but they've been watching close by with great concern and worry for fellow Canadians of the Christian faith, just white Canadians and other denominations that probably came to the dance 7 or 8 months ago, like the Josh Alexanders, the Jordan Peterson 2-3 years ago. Dr. Jordan Peterson did not want to be compelled to pronouns. He was fighting free speech. So we watched and we were just disheartened. And as Muslims, as people that pray 5 times a day, fast the Ramadan, we want to be good citizens. We want to be good fellow Canadians. At the same time, we're very cognizant of one of the Quran surahs that says there's no compulsion in religion. So we didn't want to offend. We didn't want to do any of that. But it got pretty inevitable when the porn hit the schools. We were seeing materials in our communities. Oh, wait a sec here. We're seeing gay porn to 4-year-olds, and it's read as drag queen story time. I got a case in Toronto. A lady tells me, Brother Kamel, Syrian new immigrant to Canada. Her kids are born here, but she tells me, my son was sexually harassed in a drag queen show. Then you're a little bit concerned. But in watching a kid like Josh Alexander, 17-year-old kid who should be thinking of graduating this year from high school, and going to the prom and playing a little bit of rec hockey, this kid gets arrested. I've been watching by. I was trying to get a hold of him in the past 6 or 7 months. I got the privilege of getting to meet him about 2 months ago. We just said, you know what? No compulsion in religion. There's no more compulsion in religion. It's time to act and rescue fellow human beings and stand in solidarity with them. And that's why you saw us in the protests from coast to coast. So there's this unified front of Canadians of all walks coming out to say, enough is enough. Your gay porn is not going to be in the schools. I don't want to see you stripped naked in the streets of Toronto while being aroused, and a 4-year-old's looking at that, and you are dancing sexually, something that happens in the nightclubs and the strip joints, and you're using a water gun that's in the shape of a penis.
Yeah.
You're squirting water in toddlers' faces. I got a problem with that, and that's why we came in.
Yeah, I do too. The fan base, my fan base here, they've been with us for a very long time. They know the story where I used to DJ in the gay clubs, and the whole thing about drag queens. They would go from club to club to club, dance around for a bit. They'd get snapped a lot of money. They'd make $400 or $500 within 2 or 3 dances, and then leave the bar, get in a cab, and go to the next gay bar and entice men. Like, the whole idea of the drag queen really was to turn gay men on so that they'd score with each other in the bar. And like the mentality is this by the bar owner: if a gay dude picks up another gay dude and gets some, he'll always come back to that bar thinking it's the lucky place to be. And the drag queens were meant to arouse men to pick up men. That's what that was all about.
Yes.
Yes. And because all of that is absolutely sexual, it should be completely illegal in every single situation where we know at least one person is going to be under 18. It is sex. That's it. It's sex. It's nothing else. It's not even performance art anymore. It's sex. Ed, what's up?
Okay, I'm going to date myself here, but back in the mid 80s, when I was of legal drinking age, I went to one of these performances of drag queens, but it really wasn't a sexual thing. It was more, it started out as a comedy routine, and they were actually kind of mocking women in a way, and that's where the humor was. And it was strictly entertainment. There was nothing sexual about it. But look at what it's evolved to. Look where we are today.
Not evolved. Devolved. It's devolved.
Okay.
Devolved. Second that.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
It's amazing how this creep slowly comes in over the years, eh? And then they use any term you can.
You can feel it, right? It just germinates its way in. And, you know, with cognitive dissonance, people don't want to be rude. And so they move the goalpost a bit more. And then so you accept a bit more. And then, you know, the idea is, you know what, we're going to trump your religion, trump your beliefs, trump child innocence, and we're going to just give it to everybody. And that's not going to happen.
Okay.
What I find really offensive, and I'll leave soon, the fact that they've turned all this, it's a Satanist cult or a Satanist religion, but they don't label it as a religion. They call it an ideology, so it's supposed to be more accepting. And they're pushing this on the kids all over the schools. I can't believe they're actually letting this religion into Catholic school boards. It's all over the hallways, from what I heard, on the insides of the school. Okay, back in June, they voted down, or was it NMA? They weren't going to fly the pride flag outside of the schools. But inside, from what I'm hearing from my cousins and nephews, it's plastered all over the place. I can't even imagine what it's like in a public school. It's a religion.
Yeah, it is a religion. And I'm just thinking that the cure, there would have been a cure with fathers in 1975, 1982, 1985, and so on. This would never have been allowed. Fathers would have reacted. And I'm pretty sure that the police back then, if you remember, our police in Canada used to have the handlebar mustache, and they actually used to have muscles on their arms. They're not like these skinny 5'2" LGBTQ losers that the gun is longer than their legs. It's not those guys. There used to be tough cops back in the day that would have said, oh yeah, you showed your dick to a kid. Yeah, well, you got your ass kicked. Good. We're going to do it too, and arrest you. And you're probably doing 6 months. That's the way it used to be.
Right. Up until about 1940. 1940, there was an organization that was hired by a very wealthy group of people that run the banking system around the world. And it's an organization called Tavistock. When they first started, their very first concepts that they came out with was that they were going to introduce women to alcohol, and the term being loose. And if you fast forward to today, for the last say 5 to 7 years, they've been telling men that being masculine is toxic, right?
Yes.
So they demasculate the men. They take away the identity of women. They indoctrinate our children at school, and then we've got a godless, sexless, unproductive, unreproducing population that's coming up behind us. So that's why, what Kamel inspired in this country is so important that we step in, because we're so busy moving forward trying to deal with all the other issues that we're having in our nation, that if we forget our children behind, it's all pointless, right? There's no point in clearing the path for the future if we're not taking care of the generation that's coming behind. So
yeah, which is why I it's kind of a joke, but at the same time, maybe it's not a joke. I stated that I would love to find 10 gorgeous, green-eyed, red-haired women and make a bunch of babies, because like no one's having kids. The Chinese aren't having kids. The Iranians aren't having kids. The Americans aren't we're not having kids. Yeah, I wouldn't mind putting some more of my genetic material out there. I mean, they got to be at least half as good looking as I am. It'd be amazing, wouldn't you think? But you're right. The population is not reproducing. In fact, the age group of between 18 and 35 right now are having the least amount of sex in the history of our species. They're not interested. They actually think it's a bad thing. I've made compliments or comments about good-looking women on Twitter back when I was on Twitter, and I would have 50 males, not men, males. Women are not sex objects. You shouldn't talk about them like that. That's what it sounds like. I cannot believe I, as a heterosexual male, am being lectured by supposedly heterosexual males about the fact that I'm complimenting women who work out or who are amazing athletes. Think about that. So those guys are never getting laid, and they're not going to reproduce. Yeah, and they're going to complain.
That's an incredible woman, isn't it?
So,
well, let's talk about reproduction and these fertility these hormones that they're giving our children. So when children are put on puberty blockers and they we should get them on puberty blockers so their voice deepens sooner. Do you know that number one, it removes their ability to reproduce, period. And number two, it reduces their life expectancy by 50%. So if you look at the overall picture, the depopulation plan is number one, we make men not men. Number two, we sterilize our children before they're out. And number three, anybody that is having a difficult time, we just offer them maid. Or we take our children when they're 12 years old that is suffering from body dysmorphia or indoctrination and programming, let them grow up and their genital organs don't form and they're hung like Tic Tacs and they can't be gay men. And then we offer them maid. Do you see the circle?
Oh yeah, I'll clear up for my American friends here that MAID, MAID, medical assistance in dying. It's essentially state-sanctioned murder of people who are depressed or broke, or there's going to be no limit to the reasons why you can show up and ask for MAID and get MAID. You're going to get it if you ask for it. Period. We've already proven that one. So and the hung like a Tic Tac thing. Yeah, I know you're being ironic, not necessarily ironic. You're being funny about it, but it's true.
It is true.
It's true. Like the condition of micropenis is one I would never wish on any man. That's a genetic anomaly. But when you put boys on these puberty blockers, then the penis never grows. It ends up being a 9-year-old penis forever. So that boy is never going to be able to reproduce. And eventually he'll grow past the trend.
So what about our gay men? What about our men, that the children in school that might be attracted to men, right? So hypothetically, say this child is actually gay and he grows up and he can't have a normal, even gay relationship. It's like 80% of children that identify with body dysmorphia before this programming changes back or has a different change before they hit the end of puberty. So we're changing these children. We're sterilizing these children before they're even psychologically formed well enough to even know what they're attracted to. It's insane. What's happening is actually insane.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Bill.
Really sorry to chime in there.
No, you chime in. This is your show, baby.
Thank you very much. Well, it's also your march, right? It's everybody's march. So how do you identify with the march? It's a Canadian one. In the 1950s, between the 1940s and 50s, Napoleon Hill, people like Earl Nightingale and Dale Carnegie did a study in the Carnegie Institute, and they found that pharmaceuticals were engaging in crimes of suggested thought, right? So hypochondria. And most of the drugs back then, now I'm going back way before all of us are born, 1950s, 75% of the diseases back then were suggested diseases so that pharmaceutical companies can sell their drugs. And this, we're talking about the 1950s. TV was slowly making its way into the family home. Kevin, there was no Atari, right? The one that we played with, and the Nintendo. None of that. But pharmaceuticals were already engaged in that suggested hypnosis of, oh, you're sick, you need this pill. You're sick, you need that. So 75% in 1950s. Can you imagine today what that hypochondria is? I'm sure that's 110%. Okay. Oh, gender dysphoria. I've never heard of that term maybe past 10 years ago. Maybe you have that, and it's very rare in cultures. And I've read a lot of books, and I've done a lot of research in the corporations and with working in public roles with the city and stuff like that. I started seeing these terms. I don't know about you guys, but in the past 5 years, gender dysphoria, pronouns, they, them, metrosexual, pansexual, and it's just, there's so many isms and sexual preferences. You can't even keep up with it anymore. So the crimes today, they've perfected them. I mean, this is 2023. There's algorithms, artificial intelligence, there's machine learning. So it's highly advanced. So when this stuff happens, it happens so perfect and so subtle that people think there's actually something wrong with them, when in reality, as a child, you thought you were Superman, you thought you were Spider-Man, you thought you were female at one time because you had an older sister that would put makeup on you, because that's what children do, right? But then if you were a male, you still ripped the shirt, took the Barbie's head off, right? And you ran and to the streets and you played your hockey and jumped on the play structure. So they want you to think that you were innate, you were born with it, it was innate, and we got to fix that because, it's transphobic not to. And you 4-year-old, you know what, you identify as a teenage mutant ninja turtle, whatever it is, or a woman, right, or a girl, we're going to have to change that, give you hormone blockers because you're 4 years old and you're old enough. I mean, you don't eat your food well, you don't go to sleep on time, but I think you're old enough to decide your sex at that age. And, whatever happened to adult consent when it comes to sexuality? Apparently, in Canada, if you're 4 years old,
Kamel, we have a problem with parenting. The problem is the parents there's a lot of people that want to be friends with their kids. Whereas, and so instead of raising them as a parent-child relationship, they want to be buddies, they want to be pals, and so on. I remember my son; he was about 5. He asked me, "He says, Dad, are we pals? Or are we friends?" I said, "No, we're pals when we hang out, but I'm your father first. You and I can become friends when you're married and have kids of your own. Then I can drop the dad moniker and go to friend." He didn't quite understand it, but he understood it again when I repeated myself in his tweens. He appreciates that. He's in his 20s now. He appreciates the fact that I spoke to him that way and I approached my children as a father. Parents aren't doing that. Whenever there was an issue in the school, I went straight down to the school and I dealt with it face to face. I even sued the school once. Parents don't even do that anymore. They don't yell at the teachers. They don't tell the principals they're doing things wrong. And somehow the principals, most of them are losers and stupid. Yeah. The principals somehow now have complete and total power over the entire school. And ladies, you're not going to like this comment, but again, this is me, is we have put women in charge of almost every single school in our school boards across the country. And I'm going to tell you this right now, women react emotionally very, very incorrectly when they're dealing with teenage boys. Oh yeah, Raven.
Oh, Kevin,
dealing with teenage boys, we're not easy.
Kevin.
We're a pain in the ass when we're teenagers. That's what boys do. The trick to boys, keep them busy. Don't whine, don't complain, don't cry in front of them. Let them be boys. I'll give you a prime example, Camille and Raven. I served a lawsuit to a god-awful teacher in the Catholic school board in Toronto. And the female principal looks at me. I said, look, I just want to hand these papers off and I want to get out of here. I don't like it here. I want to go. You know what she does? She gets emotional, gets her back up, gets afraid, lies about the fact that she's terrified beyond reproach, and locks the school down, keeps the kids in the school 2 hours after school. All they had to do was just take the paper off my hands, and I would have left. That's the problem here. And I'm not a fan of having that much female influence over young boys. It feminizes them.
Whoa.
Okay, Raven, you have your shot.
Whoa.
Go ahead. Go.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm a mom of 2 boys. They're both very masculine. So let's walk this back a little bit. Number one,
you're not a common woman. You're very uncommon.
No, that's not fair because there's lots of women out there like me. But let's walk this back a little bit. The divorce rate is at 80%.
Initiated mostly by women, yes.
Exactly. So what happens is the family splits. This is part of the Tavistock breaking down the community and how we function. So what happens is families split. They fight over custody. They fight over child support. So everybody wants to be Disney parents. It's like, oh, come over with me. I can get you a car and I can take you to do this. And I come over and I can do this. It's got nothing to do with whether you're male or female. It's got everything to do with the breakdown of the family unit.
Yeah, but we're not. I wasn't talking about mom and dad. I was talking about principals and teachers.
Dana is saying, I mean, in the end, knowledge is incumbent on men and women. We need both mom and dad to develop kids. Mom is the nurturer, foundation of society. I mean, without mom, you're having to barf for 9 months and ask for that Oreo ice cream 2 o'clock in the morning, and you as a male have to get up there and just feel really bad and hope you find a quickie that's open to get it for her. In the end,
which we, as men, we do with a smile on our face. I did that all the time.
Well, women are a necessary part of the development of all human beings.
Yes,
so is,
I agree.
What they're doing is they are getting rid of that feminine, women, strong, confident, educated role, and they're changing that, and they're forcing it into this women. Yeah, men are from Venus and women are from Mars. So us women, we can be men too. No, they're changing the idea of what a woman is.
Yes,
like
they
somebody
are.
like
Camille, the women
they're-
are falling for it. That's the point that I want to make. And the women who are falling for it are the ones that are in charge of our students, especially young males. That is the problem. We have the wrong type of women in charge. Like the school board, I think we can all agree here, the three of us, most school board people are left wing.
There are good women. I worked with them. Yeah. So let me just tell you a little bit of some of the work that I do. So I've worked closely with high schools in Ottawa for 20 years. They were my clients. So I worked on scholarships for 15 years too. And I've worked with women principals now, and I've also worked with woke women principals, and there is that you're talking about with the woke, dyke. Sorry, that's probably a derogatory term, but
don't worry about it. You're allowed to be derogatory.
We're men, and she looks like one, cut hair, and walking like this, right? So we're trying that gender dysphoria, that annihilation of that true confident woman that gets her PhD and is still a woman, but it's confident. Somebody like a Dana Metcalf, you clearly see a woman there, but you see a confident woman. You don't see another man. You see a confident woman that's educated, that's got the experience. That's the woman that we're talking about. That's the ones that we kind of grew up with, right? But today, there's no such, I don't see gender. That's one of the pronouns. I don't, they want to use they, them pronouns in schools. So they don't want to even acknowledge that there's a woman or a man. There's just a flesh with meat, and it's going to school, and we're going to decide for you through society and through the hypnosis that they're using what kind of gender you might be, and there's 500 to choose from. Let's go back to one male, one female, okay, as created by the vortex or God or Allah or Jesus, if you may, however way you believe that to be, there's one male, one female, and offsprings. A male can't get pregnant.
No.
That's a fact. It's a female. Okay? So as males, I think we have the moral obligation to defend that woman, feminine, necessary role, and women have to do the same thing to defend guys like you and I, Kevin, who are highly masculine and loud and obnoxious, because it's necessary too. Oh, does he, a kid falls, right? Gets a cut, starts, doesn't bleed, but, mom's like, oh, sweetheart, he's going to run to mom first. My kids always skip me. They go to mom, and then they come to me. Does he have blood? Oh, yeah, he's going to be okay. That's a necessary balance. You need that. You need that testosterone in developing the kid, but you also need the nourishment and education and compassion and love of a mom. Those are both necessary. And as Dana was saying, 80% of being violent in marriages, they don't want that healthy balance. They want that confusion. They want that teen depression.
Okay, for those who are concerned about Camille's internet connection, Camille is in Lebanon right now. It's it's like 4:45 in the morning out there, and unfortunately there are power failures all over Lebanon currently. So we're actually, I'm shocked that we even have him on the show right now. So if you're going to blame anybody, blame Lebanese internet service providers. There you go. It's not Camille. And what's up,
Camille? If you can go into settings, lower your camera resolution, we'll get better audio quality, hopefully. And whatever happened to the furries? You guys haven't talked about these people that think they're one of these.
That's another thing altogether. So, Ed, I'll just mention what it is. There are people that dress up in animal costumes and they get together in parties and they rub their junk on each other, and it's just bizarre. That's it. Is it worth talking about? No. It's just another fetish and another cult.
But it's happening in schools.
Is it really?
It's happening in schools. Absolutely.
They're doing furry fetish.
They're teaching them that they can be male or female. They can teach them that they can be nothing, and they're teaching them that they can identify as animals. It's actually happening. There's multiple, like if you walk into any school, you'll see typically they'll just have the little cat's ears on. There's accommodations that was made here on the West Coast in Newfoundland for there to be a scratch post inside the school.
How about the litter boxes in the washrooms? Those are real. Janitors are actually putting those down.
Well, I had people that went to the protests, and they were going into a Shoppers Drug Mart to get something, and they saw a lady wearing a Halloween costume, something that you would see in Halloween, a bear, full, and this is like hot June type of a thing, and she was buying something in that costume. So I don't know what that is. I think she identifies as a teddy bear. And this is a full-grown, 60-year-old lady, right? So they're paving the way for obscene things like that. What about that identifies as a 6-year-old girl?
It normalizes pedophilia. We're on the doorsteps of normalizing pedophilia, is what's part of it. Right.
Actually, I wanted to point something out here quickly. There's a very easy way to deal with this. When I was growing up, I grew up with a cat. My parents had a cat, miserable, angry, rotten to the core cat. But I was in Square One Shopping Center, for those who know the city of Mississauga. And I decided, I think I was maybe 4. I decided to crawl around the floor. I said, "Hey, Ma, look, I'm a cat." You know what my mother did? She says, "Yeah, good luck," and walked away. Security found me and took me to an office where I was crying my eyes out. I'm lost. Like, it's a terrifying experience. And then, my mother, she went and had lunch and then came and got me, and said, "So, you still a cat?" That's how it worked. So my mother did absolutely the rightest thing possible in curing any stupid behavior that I would exhibit possibly in the future in public. That's called parenting. So if your kid comes home and says, "Dad, I'm a cat," I'm not really for violence, but the correct answer is, boom, boom, boom. No, you're not. Grow up now. Or better yet, you want to be a cat? No problem. And put the cat out at night and leave the cat out all night. How does that sound? Yeah. We can solve this problem.
You won't be a cat for long. Nope.
No, you're damn right, especially if it's December. You have to punish kids according to the stupidity level that they're bringing forward.
Well, really also, you have to let kids be kids and be an observant parent and assist them to maturing. I mean, come on. A 4 and a 5-year-old jumping on your couch, pretending to be Spider-Man. You're not going to take them off that couch and throw them off your balcony and see if they fly, right?
No.
You're going to allow that kid to be Spider-Man, right? And let them jump off the couch and let them be that Spider-Man so they can satiate that kid wanting that dope. Actually, it's scientifically proven that it increases the dopamine in their brain. It increases their development. They need to be kids. What's happening now is government and the radical left, the woke community are saying, oh, look at that. You're Spider-Man right now. We got to make sure that you don't get offended being Spider-Man. And we're going to identify you as Spider-Man and, you know, a Martian or whatever. And we're going to keep you that way. So they've taken the life out of kids and they've politicized it. And this is why we're here today. We're going to say this nonsense is over and has zero tolerance from coast to coast. Hands off the kids. And the government, your job is to run the country. The parents, it's their job to develop the kids.
It's also the school's job to educate the kids and then get out of their way. And the point that I was alluding to earlier with too many women being in charge of education in Canada, they have been very selective. They've got out of their way to pick the furthest left-wing crazy ladies they can find, and they've stuck those at our school boards. That is where I have a problem with it, because then it becomes incredibly easy, Raven, to say,
I disagree, because in Newfoundland, all of our school principals are gay men.
Well, you know what? I think
the head of the gender diversity program here is a male. The principal at my two sons' schools, both growing up that they've gone through here in Newfoundland, both of them have been gay males.
And so it's just like taking that 2%, or it's actually, I think it's less too. It's probably 1.97% of a minority. And let's be frank here. They are a minority. But of course, there's that hypnosis again by the media that they are the majority and somehow we have to accommodate, but they're also a visible minority and they're targeted for hate crimes. I've never seen hate crimes against somebody who is gay. I've seen it against maybe a white person, a black person, a Muslim, maybe per race, but I've never seen it for sexual orientation. And I'm sure you guys haven't either. I mean, in school, people were...
Kamel, there was for a short while in Ontario, very short while, in Toronto specifically, and also Los Angeles. There was a big in Los Angeles. There was a thing called fag bashing where insecure loser guys would go and beat up gay guys that they didn't know just because they were gay. And that stopped abruptly after that happened in Los Angeles. 3 guys ganged up on a gay guy, beat him up. He bled to death on the streets. All 3 of them went to jail for life for murder. All of a sudden, this trend of fag bashing disappeared. And it's the same idea as the knockout game, where mostly black males under 30 would walk up to someone and knock them out cold. Well, a lady in Chicago died, and that guy went to jail for the rest of his life. So the knockout game disappeared pretty fast. The fact remains, though, is, Kamel, I agree with you. I haven't seen a hate crime against a gay guy or a lesbian ever in my life. Period. And I used to DJ the gay clubs. I can tell you, the only violence against gays were boyfriends breaking up. That was it.
I went to Rideau High School in Ottawa, and I went to Carleton University, and my best friends were white and French, and Ottawa's got probably about 120 different countries. I got Polish friends and stuff like that, but I remember having to defend my French Canadian friends because they were getting beat up because they were white. And obviously I'm a pretty big guy in person. I mean, I stepped in and I said, no, you're not going to do this. I mean, Okay, this has got to stop. But I've seen it because of color of the skin. I've seen it done to a black person. Again, this is, my experience. I've never seen it done on a homosexual or somebody of the pride community. It looks like it's just so elevated. Oh my God, trans crimes, homosexual crimes. Where are these crimes? And you know what?
Disney.
I don't condone violence for anybody in this world. Violence is never the answer. Okay? Everybody was brought on this planet for a reason, but to use that and constantly shame people, like if you're white, you have to apologize for owning slaves. All of my white friends growing up did not have any slaves beside them. They're walking them through type thing. So we got to get out of that narrative of, I'm white, I got to feel sorry for being white, or I'm Muslim, I feel sorry for being a terrorist or whatever, or I'm
Right.
black, I gotta be sorry for being a gangster and all that kind of stuff. So
Okay,
those
so Kamel, your point
out
is
of
well
that.
taken. I'll add to your point there. I know for a fact that as an Irishman, that there was never a single solitary white guy in my entire family line who owned a black man. Kamel, you're Muslim. I can honestly say that you were not a member of the Barbary pirates taking over 1 million white slaves out of Europe. You and I we never owned slaves. It's just that simple. So I'm not going to apologize for slave trades that the Islamic groups had fostered in the 13 and 1400s, that white folks fostered in the 17 and 1800s, that the Barbary pirates did all the way until the early 1900s. That's none of our business. We didn't do it. And we're not the benefactors of it either. You and I do not have very large trust funds that were given to us by our great-great-grandfathers who were slaveholders. So you and I have nothing to apologize for. And that's the thing.
But that's what they wanted to, that's what they wanted to
apologize for crap like that.
right? Yeah,
So
you
go ahead.
just want to know disputes. They want to germinate those highly woke, sexualized, perverse, grotesque goals of theirs, like you're seeing in the pride parades today, where 60-year-old adult males are aroused and showing their ornaments to 4-year-olds, and they're waving, and it's all innocent, while a white person in Canada has to kind of defend themselves and say, look, I condemn that. Of course, every white person in Canada condemns slavery, but that they want that narrative to continue, and you need to continue to defend yourself. And as a Muslim, you have to continue to defend yourself that you're not a terrorist. Well, God forbid, man. There's 2 billion Muslims in the world. There's 2 billion Muslims in the world.
That's like the
right?
whole narrative that is spinning around our project already. Like I've seen some of the Antifa pieces that have come out on the internet that says that my Muslim sisters and brothers want to bring in Sharia law. That's it's not the case at all, but it's something that they're kind of constructing as a narrative for the media.
Exactly. So, it's funny. This campaign was founded, and Dana can tell you this, was founded by, people like Dana. There's a Dean Mooney. I don't know, that name doesn't sound Muslim, right? And somebody like myself and others. There's a few people that came together, and it's a healthy mix of Canadians of all walks. But you know what? We got to start hyping this Muslim Canadian guy, from Ottawa. You can't pronounce his name. What is it? El-Cheikh, or it's Kamel El-Cheikh, right? And he's coming to Canada. He's going to bring Sharia law, and he's going to just force it on all of you. I grew up in Ottawa South. I do pray 5 times a day. I read the Quran. I'm a devout Muslim. But they want you to fear this campaign and say, oh my God, do you really want to be a proponent for Sharia law and all this kind of stuff? That's what they want to get it to, so they can put a wrench to it and dismantle this ever-growing unity that's here to stay for the long term. And it's coming, and it's going to eradicate every one of those disgusting, grotesque, sexual ideologies in our schools, in our governments, in the festivals, naked in the streets. What we're committed to doing is we're going to bring back that stuff back to the gay bars and the drag queens. You want to do that, you go right to the bars. There's adult consent. Okay? 18-year-olds go in there. It's none of my business. I'm not going to compel you to live the life the way I do. In my Islamic life, it's forbidden, but who am I to say how you should live, right? What our issue is, you're sexualizing our children by force, irregardless of what our beliefs are, irregardless of what goals we have for our kids, right? And you're taking ownership of our kids, and you're thinking they're yours. They're not. You're government, and you're here to serve the people. But you are here, and you are backed by an international satanic agenda, World Economic Forum, of course, and you're just taking everybody, and you're becoming relentless, and you're breaking every rule of theologies. You're breaking all the Abrahamic faith rules that are reserved under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The right to religion, the right to congregate with people of the same religion, and the right to engage with the media and talk about your religion. And you're just completely annihilating that and forcing that agenda.
Kamel, I have to agree with you on what you've said, because the reason I found out about you in the first place, and you're going to hear this all the time, is, hey, Johnston, did you hear about that Muslim guy that's bringing 1 million people to Ottawa? He's like, awesome, dude. You got to watch him, dude. That's it. So you're going to have a lot of people that say it's that Muslim guy that did it. Fine. They know that you're Muslim, so that makes it easier to track you down on Google if they're looking to find you. The fact remains is that that's perfectly aligned with the Canadian mindset of, well, it's about time someone else other than me did something about that. So what's going on here is you are unofficially the spokesperson now for Islam. You didn't want to be, but you unofficially are, based on the fact that people know that a Muslim guy is the one who's doing this for Canadians. All right.
I feel sorry for Dana, because that lady is working around the clock. She's not sleeping like I am. And, we're texting each other 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, it's 4 o'clock in the morning for me. She actually called me to make sure I'm awake. I was already awake, just washing up and doing my Islamic ablution, because the morning prayer starts in about an hour. So I was a little we're like-minded. She's working just as hard as I am, but it's the Muslim guy that will take the credit. Sure, we'll take it because the government wants that, because they want to be able to push Sharia law. Dana Metcalf, I mean, as white as they come, right? But also Dana Metcalf, the white name, right? It doesn't fit the narrative that me and her together, along with Christians and Muslims, are founding this thing and trying to liberate Canada's kids. So it's the Muslim guy from Ottawa who looks like he just immigrated to Canada like 2 months ago. I'm visiting my parents' motherland, by the way. I've never visited. 36 years I haven't been here. And I feel like a foreigner. I miss Canada. I can't wait to come back. But I'm the Muslim guy that's coming from overseas. I got to have a thick Arabic accent. And I seem like a foreigner, right, with a different agenda. No. This is a Canadian agenda. And I reserve the right to say it's a Canadian agenda from coast to coast. People coming together to liberate Canada's kids. That's all it is.
Okay. Now, your point is also incredibly well taken, because people are not going to say, hey, did you hear about that good-looking white chick that's getting this million-man march going? They're not going to say it. All right. And they're not going to say, hey,
I'm the one that got arrested. Seriously, though, they've arrested 2 mothers. Yeah. There's 2 mothers in Canada that have been arrested right now. One for hate speech. I got arrested here. And then there's a father that just got almost sentenced to 6 months in jail.
It's Arthur, right? Arthur?
I think it's Arthur. He's in British Columbia.
That's him, yeah.
So I'll be the girl that got arrested. I wear that like a badge of honor, being outside my premier's house with 2 gender flares, 1 pink and 1 blue. So he's the Muslim Sheikh guy that's going to implement Sharia law, and I'm the I'm on the extreme activist watch list, terrorist.
There's a new one too.
Humanitarian jailbird.
There's a new one too. The Muslim card is not working for them very well, so they're using my corporate CEO backgrounds in auditing, and they're saying Kamel is using CEO style rhetoric, and he's paying everybody to work for him, and he's working like a fascist, forcing this agenda, and he's got deep pockets, he's paying and bribing everybody to do this movement. That's the other one that was brought to my attention, of some of the spies that I had to get rid of in our group. Okay, they were just pushing these narratives, and they're pushing them right now. They're not working. Nobody's listening, because Canadians from coast to coast are getting inspired, and they're saying, oh my God, I can't wait to go to this 1 million person march. The thing I'm concerned about is, on Dana's feeds and on my feeds, there's thousands of comments that both me and Dana, if we spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we can't get to process. The John from Surrey, BC, the Jeff from Newfoundland, and I got Whistler, and I got Toronto, and I got Ottawa. I'm more concerned about, how do I reach out to that Canadian who is inspired by this Canadian initiative, and how do I bring them aboard and tell them this movement is yours? We don't own it. Okay? We're here to liberate you and your kids. What does it mean to you?
If I can cut in here.
Tell us what part of Canada you are from. Let's celebrate that.
Remember how beautiful the truckers rally was, the Freedom Convoy 2022?
I was there with a Muslim delegation, but the CBC did not film us because it didn't fit the white, often misogynist fringe. I'll show you those pictures, Dana, when you come to Ottawa. There's another cat out of the bag.
There was people from every walk of life there, every race, creed, color, you name it. Everybody was there. There was even a Rasta right at front center stage that slept in his red car. Like, everybody was there from every walk of life, and everybody was smiling, shaking hands, feeding each other, cleaning up after each other. It was incredible. The cooperation was unbelievable. And it's this unity of regular people, regular Canadians coming from across the country, cooperating and on a dime organizing everything. I was working behind the scenes, but I was there for 3 weeks, almost a month, because I had to wait for my audio equipment to get released from the FU Trudeau truck. And I'd stay an extra week, but the unity is what scared the hell out of the government. They couldn't do anything.
Look at the unity now. I mean, look, we were out there at the convoy. Do you remember how cold it is?
Oh, it was miserable.
It was about minus 45 below. Muslims and white Canadians were shivering, drinking Tim Hortons double-doubles and singing "Oh Canada." But Trudeau had to get rid of that convoy because it's like Canadians coming together. Wow, you guys are really cool people. I talked to people from Quebec that fear Muslims. They're like, oh, mon Dieu, man, you guys are good. There Muslims there. And it's like, wow, holy smokes, man. You know, we were singing "Oh Canada" together. We were coming and talking about the fascist laws of COVID, the social distancing. And it was just, I think that was the first time Canadians broke the social distancing rules, and they just wanted to see each other. It was a massive Canada Day, and everybody, you know, from all walks. We had people from BC and Calgary and stuff like that with trucks, and we were asking them to honk, and it's like, oh, there's a Muslim guy. Yeah, I'll honk for you. So look, Canadians are naturally compassionate people. Now, unfortunately, what's happened to Canadians is they've been oppressed for a long period of time, and they've been, with the social medias, the news, the indoctrination, even adults, depression, anxiety, stress, all that kind of stuff. Those are all suggested hypnosis states, right? They don't want this internet or national dialogue that's gone international, by the way, because I just finished a meeting with Beirut University. Some PhDs were like, Brother Kamel, you guys have something in Canada that's brewing. We would like to know. And they were taking notes. These guys are PhDs at the universities in Beirut, taking notes. And I was talking to them about the Dana Metcalfs and the Josh Alexanders and stuff like that, because they're having the same problem. It's germinating in the Lebanese government. So,
that's
but they were
good.
able to eradicate it quick.
Yeah, that is not a good thing. You cannot let this North American poison expand into the Middle East or even into Eastern Europe. Now, the Polish, the Czechs, the Slovaks, the Romanians, they've done a good job holding it back. I'm hoping that Lebanon holds it back as well. Like there has been enough pollution of every country's culture right now with everything that's going on. We cannot afford to lose any more countries to this. So, I mean, when Uganda came out and banned the radical left LGBTQ agenda, banned it outright under threat of prison time, I supported that fully. It's not that I want them to abuse gay people. I just want the cult not to be able to spread around the world, because it is a very sinister, gross, deadly cult. Whoa. All right. So for everybody around here that's looking to get a hold of Kamel, I have Kamil's email address. With Kamil's permission, I will send it to those who want to have this lovely gentleman right here on their shows. Barry Prince out in British Columbia would like to have you on his show, as would April Lejeune in Missouri. She would love to interview you as well. Don't worry, folks. If you have a podcast, Kamel will talk with you. That's for sure. So will Dana, for that matter. And out of the three of us here, Dana's the easiest one on the eye. Maybe you recommend you get her on your show too. All right. Now, I got to talk about the government here. Has there been any pushback from any government agencies at all on your Million Man March? Anything at all?
Well, I mean, you know, we were sitting with Dana and the rest of the volunteers with this wonderful initiative, and we were just trying to cross the T's and dot the I's and just decide on a date. And there were some government, spies taking that sensitive information, and they made public announcements before we can make a decision. So you will see a date of September 21st. You will see a date of Friday, September 22nd. Mm-hmm. But it is actually like this. There's a lot of pushback. There's narratives of Dana, using her white race and all that kind of stuff. And there's narratives of mine. I got censored off Twitter as soon as we went viral announcing parts of the march. And right after my interview with David Creighton for the Epic Times and the Post Millennial. And so, it's funny. You go and you silence one person, you upset the whole nation. And then, you got somebody like Dana Metcalf who's being silenced just recently on Facebook, I believe. And some of her videos are
can't move anything.
Put down. Our other spokesman, Dr. Bahira Abdus-Salam, getting death threats and being censored in certain areas. So, yeah, there is a pushback, but it's not working. I mean, okay, sure, silence the three of us. But it's not only the three of us. It's 4.7 million Canadians and counting now. It's not even 1 million anymore. We're calling it the 1 million people march. I'm confident at some point we'll be in double digits because Canadians, the cat's out of the bag. The government is holding on for dear life to find anything that sticks. None of it is. Obviously, it's inconvenient for us, but we don't care. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to just silence everybody? Good luck doing that. I mean, I remember having a public backlash Twitter war with somebody like Nili of the school trustees. She was blocking everybody. She couldn't stop blocking people because she's used to blocking 2 or 3 a day. And then I call her out and I promise her that there will be a 1 million people protest, Nili. And I'm sure you guys saw that video. That lady starts blocking. She couldn't even finish blocking daily, like 2,000, 3,000 people a day, right? So block all you want, censor all you want. The cat's out of the bag. Canadians are united, and we're here to liberate Canada's kids. There's one male, one female. This is the straight tide. Either you get your surfboard, get on it, and surf it well, or sink right in it. It's up to you. It's a straight tide, and it's pretty heavy, and it's going from coast to coast. So it's up to you. You want to surf against it? By all means. I guarantee you, you will drown.
Well, I guess there's two concerns I have with another march on Ottawa. One is Antifa, not because they know how to fight. They don't. And remember Antifa? Remember when you guys tried to kill me in Ottawa? 42 or 46 of you attacked me? What happened? I fought you off successfully. Remember what happened when you guys came at me December of 2021? What happened? Yeah, I made you look stupid. You thought that this fat guy couldn't run. Boom, you couldn't find me. All right. This is what's going on here is Antifa, they cannot fight, but they can carry weapons. And they're notorious for having knives and things like brass knuckles. And now that brass knuckles are illegal. What they have instead is carbon fiber knuckles. You can buy them at any surplus store in the country. And they do the same job brass knuckles do. These are the guys you got to watch out for. The other thing, of course, is going to be the police. The police are going to be the problem because they'll be told to do stuff and they will do it. Because remember we talked about the joke? They want their pensions. Woof, woof, pensions. I want a pension. I'll do whatever I'm told because pensions. It's sick. They don't realize the pension fund's going to be empty when they.
Yeah, sorry. I look at it in another perspective. The woke, the Antifa want to defund the police. Why would they want to defund the police? They want to defund the police because they want social unrest. They want people getting hurt and all that kind of stuff. So the police have been thanking me in protests because we've been communicating with the police. We respect the uniform. Now, obviously, there's selective policing. We're cognizant of that. We know that. But we also still want Canada's police. We also realize that it is an endangered resource, just like our Canadian farmers, just like our Canadian real teachers, just like every institution that's got hijacked by this woke madness. This campaign, I got a lot of police officers that say, Kamel, I know I have to stay nonpartisan and I have to make sure everybody's safe here, but I want to thank you personally because, I've been married for about 13 years. I got 3 kids at home. I appreciate what you're doing, but I still need to do what to expect and anticipate so we can make sure everybody's safe. So that's my approach when I'm dealing with the police. Is there a police officer that's going to make a mistake? Sure. We're human beings. Everybody makes mistakes. But I won't let Antifa, God forbid, hurt a police officer or a human being if I fall victim to that narrative of defund the police. Those guys are not fair. Oh, look what they're doing in those social media videos. They're hurting people. Not all of them are hurting people. There are crooked cops. We know that.
You got to understand something about the Antifa push. Like, Kamel, the Antifa push to say defund the police, it's actually farcical. And the reason being is that in most cases, the police are being instructed not to arrest them, not even to ID them, just to keep them separated from the other groups. And that comes from the mayors of the cities. I know because at the time, Naheed Nenshi, the mayor of the city of Calgary, instructed Antifa to go at me, which they did, and steal my election signs, which they did. And the police did absolutely nothing about it because they were told to just make sure that I didn't get stabbed or killed or shot. But at the same time, do not arrest any Antifa who assault me or my team. And that's exactly what happened. So they don't really want the police defunded. The reason being is that they are working with them depending on which region and or city that they're in. And that,
well, I'm getting at that caters to their agenda, they will continue to do. But remember, what happened in emergency law? Canada's police became obsolete. So did Canada's military. You had United Nations World Economic Forum people come down in planes on Canadian soil and implement martial law for a couple of weeks. Do you remember that? That's
Oh, yeah.
the finish line for them. And I say this movement is for Canada's honest police officers. The majority of them are. Now, obviously, they can't control what they're told, but they can certainly control not to listen to it. And a lot of them are not listening to it because they do tell me. Okay.
I know.
So
My concern
I'm
are the
not
ones
worried
that
about
do.
that. What I'm worried
Right.
about is getting back Canada's institutions, getting back our police to be nonpartisan, to serve and to protect, getting back Canada's military, respecting our veterans that are being disgraced right now because they are a piece of meat. They're not, unfortunately, they're being disrespected by this current government, but that's not happening by accident, but by design. They want to eradicate all of Canada's systems. So the World Economic Forum comes in, one world government, one world satanic religion. And as long as this movement is going, we're going to ensure that that doesn't happen on Canadian soil. And look, let's be honest. Sometimes people say, oh, the Conservative Party is here to protect us. Oh, the PPCs and the Liberals. Look, we're a nonpartisan movement. We're attracting everybody, just like the Pride community. All parties want to make sure they, accommodate that that movement, and we're like that. We're nonpartisan. We want to attract everybody. You're welcome to come. This is a nonpartisan movement. We want the political parties of Canada that you voted for in the 1980s, the 1970s, where if you voted NDP, as a Conservative, you disagreed with that. And, if you voted Liberal, as a Conservative, you also disagreed with that. But you had a Conservative Prime Minister, you had a Liberal Prime Minister, you were disgruntled about it based on what you liked in terms of your politics, but it was that innocent politics of a democracy that has so many flavors. Sometimes you have those weird parties like Preston Manning's Reform, right? That people didn't really buy. So, Stephen Harper brought it in and kind of hid it under the Conservative Party. So there's a lot of that too. I don't want to talk too much politics. What I do want to talk is, if you want to be a politician and you want to serve Canada's nation, I don't care what party you're part of. Are you thinking of families, of the kids and their innocence?
Right.
Are you willing to protect our institutions and our endangered resources, like our farmers who had to throw their milk out, and one of them threw his milk out to protest? That's what I'm concerned about.
Parental rights. This is one of the key foundations of what we're standing
Parental
for.
rights.
Parental rights.
Now,
Absolutely.
sorry, I'm talking to the general public right now and the parents at home with kids. If you don't show up on September 20th, you are condoning what's being done right now. Your silence is considered consent. That's why we need people out in the millions. It's only one day. Pull your kids out of school, take a day off work, show up to this rally. Unless you move something, well, you got to put meat in the freezer. But second thing is, they're going to throw everything at this. They don't want this to happen, and they're going to use any tactics they can to divide and conquer. That's what they tried to do. That's what they were doing in the media during the truckers' rally. They're doing it right now to Kamel. They're trying to get, there's all kinds of fake propaganda. The news stories that the CBC is putting out, I think Muslims are now considered white extremists, are they not?
Yes, and Justin Trudeau. I was just speaking to Kevin yesterday in the podcast. Apparently Justin Trudeau is qualified enough. He's equivalent to 32 PhDs that are highest supreme leaders get to pass a fatwa. Not even the sheikh of the mosque can pass a fatwa. He only follows the Islamic jurisprudence that's studied by the PhDs, the engineers, the doctors, to make a fatwa. So Justin Trudeau is passing them out like they're 99-cent shakes at McDonald's. So that's the narcissism that we see. And he does that without, it drives me nuts. Like, I mean, how do you pass fatwas like that and not risk offending a whole, 2 billion populace in the world? How do you do that? And so, that's where you see the mindset of a man who is only thinking of an agenda that belongs outside of this country and has no interest in any of the concerns of the citizens. That man has betrayed Canadians. Let's be honest here. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. And he's willing to pass fatwas.
But the other thing that's gone on here, though, is that the vast majority of Justin Trudeau's financing for all of his political meanderings came from the Islamic community.
Yes.
And now he's backstabbed every single Muslim in the country. Yeah, the very fact that he's given himself the authority to write religious law, essentially, if he is issuing fatwas of his own, which are Islamic religious commands that essentially must be obeyed by anybody who's a Muslim, if he's given himself that authority, then what he's done is he's crapped on the entire religion entirely in the entire world. So
yes.
what we need to do now is everybody else who's not Muslim is recognize he's done it to the Christians. He's insulted
Yes.
us. He's made it very clear that if you were to preach, you get arrested. He's done it to the Hindus. He's done it to the Sikhs, and now he's doing it to his biggest financial supporters, the Islamic group. So what are Muslims going to do about this? I guess that's the question I have, Kamel.
Well, look, Muslims are a very pious bunch. They're a very God-fearing, loving bunch. There's a quote by Imam Ali, peace or alayhi salam, that says, "A person is either your brother in faith or your equal in humanity." So you upset Muslims, and the thing with Muslims is, we pray 5 times a day. We have a highly meticulous faith. Like while I'm talking to you guys right now, I've done probably about 500 of these. Okay, we're a highly meticulous, self-building, like it's kind of like the Buddhist meditation thing, right? So when you upset a Muslim is going to be very relentless to ensure you don't do that again, because it becomes a moral obligation to help your brother, your fellow brothers and sisters, your fellow countrymen, to ensure that this doesn't happen again. A guy like Hussein, a descendant of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, his grandson, said 1400 years ago, confront oppression without fear. And so Muslims are of that mindset that they will do anything peacefully, that is obviously, to ensure that this oppression stops. And it is an oppression on all Canadians. So good person you meet is a Muslim. Muslims are a very highly educated bunch. I mean, if you go to the emergency rooms, every probably 4th or 5th person you meet is a Muslim surgeon, right? Or they're a scientist. Dana Metcalf has a team of them. And ask Dana Metcalf what kind of credentials they have. Justin Trudeau, a drama teacher, good luck with your credentials in dealing with Canada's Muslims and Christians. There is a big resume there, and you throw a wrench, we're already 100 steps ahead of you, man. Good luck.
Yeah.
With it.
Well, so I guess then I'm happy to say.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm absolutely happy to say that Justin Trudeau has screwed up. He shot himself in the foot. Now that he's upset every single religion in the country, we now all have a reason to shove everything in his face. So that, I guess, is what this Million Man March is all about. Now, Raven, let's get back to you for a second here. How does this play out? Tell everybody out there how this event is going to work. Go ahead.
Okay, there's a lot to it. Hopefully, I believe tonight, actually, our website will go live. Many people have reached out to us and asked us how they can participate and where the marches are starting in any particular city. We're hoping that Ottawa, of course, is the capital and will have the biggest presence there. And when our online goes live, there is a registration form, because where we say we're going to bring 1 million people, I think we're going to far surpass that. We're going to see more like between 4 and 5 million people. So you can register as an organizer, or you can register as a participant. The beauty about that is it gives you the opportunity that if you can make it to a larger center, you can function that way, or you can register a smaller group and do a march independently outside of the major marches that are happening in the cities. So at 9 a.m. on the 20th, Wednesday in September, we're going to ask every single Canadian in the least to keep your children out of school. It's imperative that the educational system knows how serious we are about protecting our children and our parental rights within the school system. The second thing is we are gathering at 11 for the march. Now, the march can be anywhere you want, really, depending on which organizers are leading in independent cities. The most important thing is that you position yourself in a place where you have an impact. So Confederation buildings, school boards, Supreme Courts are always a nice place to go. Position yourself in a place to be seen. So in Ottawa, our plan is myself and Kamel, we're all about turning this into something more spiritual and bonding, because, you know, I'm a Christian, he's a Muslim. The reason that we talk about being Christian and Muslim is because we want you to know that it's not about our religion, that we want to unify cultures, and we want to bring leaders of different nationalities and different cultures from across the country to the forefront to help us encourage everybody to come and stand together. Because for a long time in Canada, with this, you know, social engineering, we've been told that, you know, white people don't like black people, Lebanese people don't like black people, white people, you know, the whole, you know, propaganda machine. It's imperative that we show unity to our country. This is the first step in the right direction to create unity in the different movements as well, and the freedom movements that we have. And what we're missing on our side in regards to the voice of the people is organization. And organization is the fundaments of what we're doing. So we're going to bring people together for a march. We are going to create a movement, a moving body in this country of hopefully between 3 and 5 million people, so that we can have a better stronghold on influencing government policies and government decisions. So we're very excited about this program. And in Ottawa, we're hoping to have a big screen up so that we can showcase everybody from coast to coast what it looks like to be Canadian, to be unified, to be the multicultural melting pot, and to tell Canada 3 things. You are not the parents of our children. You are civil servants and you are our employees. And third, that the freight train of truth and information and unity is coming. And we are not racist. We are not white supremacists. We are not fascists. We are mom and dads that authentically have a deep concern for what is happening to our children. And these things that are being done to our children can't be undone. So not only are we going to protect the future by standing up for the children, but we're going to unify the country so that we can move forward and protect our ability to have our own faith and our own beliefs and our independence, and not tell them that they can make government the new God. Because we all have our own independent thoughts and our own independent feelings on how our families and how we should raise our children. And we chose Canada for that reason. You know, I'm sure, Kamel, you're in Canada because you thought it was an attractive place to be for your family. And let's go full circle and bring it back, and let's bring our country back to its people. That's
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, well, I there's nothing you said that I disagree with. The fact remains is that, and I've said this many times, this country was the greatest country in the history of our species up until about 1993, 94, and we screwed it up, and it is just going straight down the toilet. I've been asked many times, would I rather be in a civilization during its ascendancy or during its decline? And I've lived in both. I lived in Canada's ascendancy. It peaked late 80s, early 90s, and now it is declining very quickly. And what I'll say is the decline is interesting only from the standpoint of we've now had a chance to see just how pathetic human beings can be. Some of it's amusing. Most of it's not. And the decline sucks also in that now that we have all this incredible technology like TikTok and Instagram and so on, it's being used by a lot of Canadian women right now, single moms specifically, where they're online saying they can't afford Canada. How do you
Yep.
people afford houses? How do you afford rent? I can't afford food. And Canadians are choosing between food and rent right now. It's a terrible place to be. And that is all as a result of allowing these left-wing ideologies to take over our schools
Mhm.
and take over our police. The left wing runs the courts. It's a bad idea all around. So I'm hoping the two of you are able to reach as many conservative minds as there are in the country to wake them up to this stupidity. I'm praying for it.
Well, it's not like ticking a box. Like, this is what I find interesting. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine the other day. I said, no offense, but do they think ticking a box of liberal is going to prevent them from sovereign debt collection, or it's going to prevent them from poverty, or it's going to prevent them from, like, I don't get this whole rah, rah, rah. Let's stay woke, because do they think they have this invisible cloak that the government's going to give them because they voted the wrong way? Here's an advice to anybody that's out there that's in the woke culture. It's okay for you to change your mind. Nobody's going to think
Yes.
you're an idiot for picking the wrong side. You can undo what
Yeah.
you've done and stand up
Absolutely.
for the right things, you know?
Well, here's the beauty about our campaign, and I love what Dana said there, and she just took the words right out of my mouth. So the beauty about this campaign is, look, we have the September 20 plan, but we have a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year plus plan, and that plan is, again, bringing back Canada's institutions that we all grew up in, and it's going to take a lot of work. Let's be honest here. But again, as she said, sure, you brought the country to the ground. You're a little bit too woke, too radical left or whatever. Yeah, you know what? If you realized you made a mistake, there's always time to bring it all back and fix it. So we are a compassionate movement. We love everybody. Obviously, there's going to be people of all walks in the movement, and we're not okay. We're going to be equally relentless.
Mhm.
Let's make that clear. We're going to be unapologetic about being Christians and Muslims, and we're going to be open about that. In my protests, I had people have the flag of Mary, peace be upon her, and I kissed that flag because I believe in the Virgin Mary. And the guy was shocked. Wait a sec, I'm a Catholic here. What's going on here? Sir, we believe in the Virgin Mary. Our women that wear the hijab, they actually wear it because of the Virgin Mary. Just so you know, right? It'll open up his eyes, and it's like, wow, this is really good stuff. I was told that you guys don't like, Jesus and all that stuff. No, it's not true. So we're a compassionate bunch. We know that people make mistakes. We're not going to be hostile in any way, but we're going to be unapologetic. There's one male, one female, not 500 genders. And I'm sorry if you're not going to like that. Well, this is the straight tide. It's a heterosexual movement. It's a movement of moms and dads and offspring. It's a movement of all Canadians. 97.6% of Canadians. Sure. You want to come to this movement because, you are gay and you come from heterosexual parents and you disagree with this stuff? Sure, come on the walk. We're not here. This is Canada, right? I may disagree with your lifestyle, but again, this is Canada. It's a melting pot of all kinds of people. We're not going to preach hate. We're not going to oppress like we've been oppressed. That's why the movement is popular, because people are finding that it's home. It feels good. It's innocent. It's sincere. But we're very honest. Dana Metcalf or the KevinJJohnston does not have to apologize for being white. You were born white. I don't have to. I'm not even white or black. I'm
Yeah,
olive skin, for God's sakes.
So hey, Kamel,
I feel left out. Can I apologize for being olive skin? I'm not even Asian.
Yeah. Apologize for nothing. How's that sound? That's the way you do it. All right. On this date, let's do this. Let's walk me and talk to me like I'm 5. Walk me through how this day works. People are going to be in Ottawa at 9 a.m.
Yes.
What should they do? Where should they go? Let's hear this. Go ahead.
So here's what we're asking parents to do, right? Sorry, is it? I saw. Okay, is it? Am I still on?
You're good to go. I'm just putting up
Oh,
your
I am
slide.
sorry. So here's what we're asking parents to do. Oh, it's on a Wednesday. Why isn't it on a Friday or a Saturday? We're telling the schools and Canada's government that we are pulling our kids out of school. We're going to take time off work, and we're going to get our coolers, make our peanut butter sandwiches and our drinks and our candies and our snacks for the kids. And we're going to show you what a parent is. And we're going to bring that down to protest. Okay. And that kid that we're going to pull out of school, which is at 8 or 9 o'clock, they're going to go to a family fun day from Costa Beach, teach a 2-minute French course, and teach the alphabets. I want to hear the sound of kids singing nursery rhymes. How beautiful is that from coast to coast? And of course, kids are going to get hungry. So mom is going to go into that cooler, pick up that peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and maybe an iced tea. Here you go, kid. Mom, can I have the fruit roll-ups? You're going to see mom say, no, not until you're finished your sandwich. And then she's going to go back and sing, the nursery rhymes that you're supposed to see in school, right? And continue the festivities. Then we're going to sing O Canada together. And then we're going to give hope to the rest of the nation, because that's what we're committed to.
So when
How does
people,
that sound?
yeah. Raven, go ahead. I want to know what happens
Yes.
when people
So-
get there.
So I'm a little bit more in the organizing committee in the back. So essentially what's going to happen is, like Kamel said, we're going to take our children out of school at 9 a.m. 11 a.m. we're going to go for a little jaunt around the neighborhood. We're going to have a march and show unity all together, and then hopefully we'll have a big screen that can showcase the rest of the country. We would also like to invite different cultures to come and express themselves, whether it's through song or dance. If we have a leader that's coming forward with the First Nations and the tribal people in our country, we would love to see people in their traditional outfits and their traditional garbs and their traditional music. If somebody wants to bring their traditional food to share, much like it was when we were in Ottawa in the convoy, we encourage that as well. But essentially, we're going to create, it's like a combination of Canada Marches meets Ottawa Convoy meets Canada Day. That's what we're gunning for. So the day pretty much is about celebrating unity, creating awareness, marching, observing what's happening with the rest of the country, and then building the relationships and starting to break down the social construct of the fact that we're different, that we can't celebrate each other's cultures. Like, I would really love to see somebody there from some of the clan mothers and the chiefs there to do some smudging and bonding with everybody. So, as this comes along, if you have something culturally that you would like to infuse into our program, we'd love to have you there. I know that our counterpart, Dean Mooney, has flushed out some really great musicians for us, some cultural musicians. There's this really wonderful girl named Scarlett, who is part Colombian, who's going to sing for us. And I think it's important that we show Canada that it's not just Christians and Muslims, and that we do walk with everybody. Like, I'm a very, very strong female that has a presence in the freedom movement in Canada. Kamel is a very, very strong Muslim man that has a presence in Canada. And what my role is in, my part of the day is encouraging the strong leaders and the strong communities in our country to stand with us and beside us. We do have a seat at the table. Originally people thought it was the Muslim March, and then I popped my head up from behind the scenes and said, okay, wait a minute, I'm here too. I'm a Christian. My nationality is, I'm a Heinz 57. I'm English, Irish, Scandinavian, African American, and 1% unassigned DNA. So I can lay it down with everybody. I think that's the vibe for pretty much all of Canada. So, we just want you to come with us. We will have all of this information displayed on our website. When it comes time to figure out where you're going to migrate to that day, that information will be listed online as well, because as people register as being part of what they're going to organize in their communities, we will make sure that we provide that for you on our websites.
Well, that is a beautiful thing. What would that website address be?
I forgot to get it because we just finished it today. So I'm gonna have to pass that back to you. They were working really hard to try to get it finished for you, like at like minutes. But then you asked for slides fitted, and then Josh Alexander wanted his stuff going. Like what most people don't understand is, they're like they think it's like instant. It's like Pop-Tarts, right? It's like, okay, we have an idea, and all this shit pops out, and we know what's happening. No, there's a lot of stuff that has to happen in the background. There's advertising packages, merchandising packages. There's media rooms that need to be built. There's social media podcasters that need to be built. So we had to build the bones of it. And today we hustled like crazy people to try to have that for you today. So we could say, here's a website, but no offense, but you kept us busy today too, right?
Of course I do. That's what I do. I'm a demanding guy.
It'll be
Well, you woke me up. So
it'll be
So
tomorrow.
I got to say one quick thing here. Kamel, I noticed that the sun just came up behind your head and you're not praying
yes.
yet. What are you doing?
Yes, and that's, I still got 20 minutes, so.
Oh, good. Well, the show's over in 15. You're going to make it.
I'm already performing my supplications before my 3-minute prayer. So I will be praying for you and you, Dana, and praying for the rest of the nation from Lebanon, 10,000 kilometers away, across the seas. I'm excited about this. This lady, Raven, she's a bull. And guess what? Behind her is a herd of bulls. And she's just coordinating it. I don't think she's slept in the past at least 2 weeks, I would say. She hasn't been sleeping for years, but the past 2 weeks, how could you sleep? Honestly, how could you sleep? This is exciting times.
I vibrate.
The nation is coming together, right? I've been sleeping 2-3 hours a day. Oh, actually, I usually sleep about 4.5 hours a day. I wake up 4 a.m. every day. I'm at the gym at 5. I'm done at 7:30. Saunaed up, hot tub and 6 laps around the pool with the weights. So I'm a very highly disciplined person. But man, I've been sleeping for 2 hours at most, and because I just want to see what Dana is doing in Canada, and I'm just watching from afar. But there's so many people in that team from coast to coast that are doing equally good work, right? And I'm just watching, and I'm just in awe. I got my popcorn here, and I'm just enjoying the whole thing. Take it in, enjoy it. This is a fun time to be a Canadian.
Well, it certainly is, and we're on the correct side of history by doing all of this. And the trucker convoy, and I'm hoping that this one that you're putting on will be written about in the history books and talked about 100 years from now. Just like any of the other protests from the 1910s, the 1910s, like during the Great Depression and so on, because great movements like this did make great shifts in our societies in the past. This has the markings of that. About getting this done. And, I'm so happy that you're doing it. The only concern I have, of course, would be that Justin Trudeau is going to make a demand that your bank accounts get frozen, or that he's going to send the RCMP out to detain you for months at a time, which they did to me, Chris Sky, Pat King, Artur Pawlowski, and so on. Yeah, I am concerned about
that. How did that work for him when he did that?
Well,
he lost a lot of money,
still on my face.
And foreign investors stopped investing in Canada's banks. Look, I was also a former bank manager that trained finance, that trained realtors on mortgages. Okay. I know the system very well. I don't think Justin Trudeau is going to do that again. Okay. Because that's just being stupid. Okay. He's still trying to get people to invest in Canada. The other day I saw him court Taylor Swift to come to Canada for a concert. People are just disgracing him. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so you can freeze my account? You want me to bring you $50 billion to Canada? Okay, and so you can take $2 billion for yourself and then obviously lock my $50 billion? No, thank you, buddy. So if I was Justin Trudeau, I don't have that option right now. Yeah, you can, but you're just being stupid. I don't think, look, he's still trying to recover from what he did in the convoy. I saw Tamara Lynch get $1 million back, right?
Yep.
She won a lawsuit of some sort, and people are getting their bank accounts unfreezed. But there's a massive public backlash for that. And it's how long has the convoy happened? What's that? A year or two now?
Year and a half.
Yep.
He's still trying to court countries to invest in Canada so he can take more money for himself and put it in Ukraine, of course.
Yeah,
But
and I would recommend
you do
any
that
investor
again?
out there, don't
Holy
invest your
smokes.
money in Canada, not until Trudeau is gone. That's the first thing I would tell
Exactly.
anybody. Keep your money. Okay, so
Yeah,
what's
so
next?
no, we have a team, honestly, of what's next?
Yeah,
Honestly,
what's that over the
our
just
team.
walk me through just the next couple of weeks here between now and the event. What is next for you and what's next for us? Go ahead.
Well,
Who do you want to
what's next
answer?
for me is I got another month here to enjoy the figs. Oh my God. Fresh figs, you're picking them off the trees, you're eating them, and you're reflecting. And I swam in the Mediterranean. I'm not used to the salt water. It went in my eye, burned my eye. Apparently, it's very good for you. So, I'm trying to meditate and trying to, obviously do these podcasts and research and, try to help, Dana as much as I can, to do this thing. And oh my God, she's been just relentless. So what's next is continue to build this. Continue to ride Canada's momentum. Continue to cross the T's and dot the I's. We just added Mahmoud Murra of Calgary, who has a 50,000 people contact list. The Calgary protest, the Muslim protest, and the Christian ones that we're affiliated with, I promised our team that I would add that person at some point. Guess what? I made that major announcement yesterday. Dana can tell you that. And he's reporting to Dana immediately. So that's what's next. And we're going to be making other announcements of spokespeople. We have Kevin, you're relatively new to this. Welcome to the team, brother. We have
that.
other
Thank you.
journalists. Yes, we have other journalists like David Creighton, who I'm playing phone tags with, but who made this movement his own because it is. And so he feels at home with it. So it's pretty much finding your long lost loved ones and telling them, you're home, okay? Let's get to work. If you're a journalist, what does this movement mean to you as a journalist? What is your responsibility? If you're a politician, it doesn't matter. Let's make it right. Let's fix Canada's political systems. Let's make them democratic again. We're not communist. We're not, look, let's bring back our democracy. And, Thomas Jefferson talks about democracy, right? And, freedom of speech and stuff like that by saying, what's it called? Freedom of speech is the ability to agree or disagree freely. So there's a lot happening, and I have so many thoughts right now talking about so many things. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you how many colors this movement has. So if you're a humanitarian like a Dana Metcalf, for 25 years, you sent 100 cars under Project Indigo to the Premier's house using blue smoke and pink smoke to celebrate one male and one female, and you get charged. I would suggest eliminating those charges because I got a couple of lawyers and Dana's got a couple of lawyers. We're trying to build a lawyer team that will work on class action lawsuits. So I would suggest to whoever is being charged in this movement, just drop the charges because we're going to be relentless, just like the Pride community, where you don't dare to oppress or ostracize, or our Dr. Bahira Abdus-Salam just getting character assassinations online and death threats. I would suggest Antifa, stop it right now, because we're collecting a lot of information. And if we have to take you to court for 5 or 10 years, we will strip you of all that money, okay? And we will give it to Canadians. That's what we're going to do. So I got a
Oh,
5-year
yes.
plan.
And also
I
Antifa,
got a
your
2-year
wimps.
plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Camille,
I got a
Camille
20-year
is going to bankrupt you, and I'm just going to go because there's nothing you can do about it anyway. All right. How many 6 attempts on my
Yeah.
life? You can't do jack. You suck. Okay. We got some questions coming in, guys. Lynn's asking, where in Ontario are the marches taking place other than Ottawa? Go ahead.
There'll definitely be one in Toronto for sure, because it's a major center. If there's interest in other communities, as long as somebody registers on our website once it goes live, there can be one. It's really simple. Like, to be an organizer, it doesn't take much. You just pick your spot, you count the people that you have, and anybody that wants to actually provide their information for further positions in the movement, for other things that we posture for. That's it. So there's definitely in Ontario, it's definitely Ottawa and Toronto, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be one in Scarborough, Oakville. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's
and
going to be everywhere.
I've spoken to those guys, as Dana was alluding. Some of those guys are in the groups. In the past 2 days, I've introduced them. So I've also asked them to report to Dana right away, so she can give them marching orders, because those people are movers and shakers. Are movers and shakers in the communities. Those are people I protested with for Iraq, for Yemen, for wars, because through soft wars and forced vaccinations, we will depopulate. Those are the people I protested with. You can see some of the speeches of past protests if you look me up. Those guys, some of them have 5,000 people coming from Toronto, Mississauga, Hamilton, and Windsor. Okay, and those are some of the names that we introduced in the group that Dana probably is very busy to just look at the specifics. But I've asked them to report to Dana and see where they can contribute. I also did not add a person to the group yet who represents the Iranian community in Toronto.
That's awesome.
That's a massive community. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
And that person,
go ahead.
is still waiting. I apologize. You've been waiting about 3 or 4 days, but I still have a plethora of those people to talk to in a conference call and lay out the specifics before we add them, because somebody like Mahmoud Murra, right, 50,000 people list, he's on the list and he's reporting to Dana just 2 days ago. So that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But they're like, where were you all this time? We've been waiting for you, Brother Kamel. Assalamu alaikum, all that kind of stuff, right? So it's like, okay, I'm here. Thank you very much. I admire you. And I apologize that it took me a month to get to you, but that's how busy we are. And welcome to the team. Get to work right away. So that's what's happening.
Yes, immediately. Well, Camille, I want to thank you very much for being here, and I'm going to just let everybody who's asking where the updates are going to be. Yes, our lovely Raven down here is going to get the website up and running for everybody, but I've also guaranteed that I'll be putting everything on freedomreport.ca. So as I get updates, I'll put them on the Rumble channel, which you can access by typing in freedomreport.ca, or my personal website. I'll put all of that in the blog. So right over there, KevinJJohnston.me is also where you can donate so I can keep the website afloat. The Canadian government stolen everything I've got. Camille, God bless you. Thanks for being here, brother. I really do appreciate that.
God bless you, Dana. God bless Canada, and God keep our land glorious and free. I mean that. We're going to sing that now, and you're going to feel good. You're going to feel that glorious and free that day. I guarantee you.
When you're in Calgary, you give me a call. Dinner's on me.
Thank you very much. Just make sure
All
it's halal, and I'm all over it. But I want to go to the Calgary Stampede. I want to wear one of those hats.
I'll take you somewhere better than the Stampede. You can wear all the hats you want while eating something halal. I know where all the halal places are. Take care, buddy.
I love you, brother. See, that's what Justin Trudeau does not want to see.
He doesn't want to see it, but he's gonna have to endure it. Screw him. Take care, Camille. Appreciate it.
God bless you.
All right. And Raven, Dana, whichever name you prefer, I want to thank you as well for being here. Do you have any closing remarks? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to just say a few words if that's okay.
Please.
I'm your resident humanitarian, and I just would like to encourage everybody to put down their fears, to put down the cloak of skin color, to put the cloak of culture, and to sit down our religion and to find our way back to each other and to have a sense of community, because we're only as strong as the people that we stand beside. And I'd like to just read you something that really resonated with me that I read the other day that I don't know, it's kind of like a little bit of a direction as to how we move forward and how we take the steps to find courage and to stand together. Consider your own place in the universal oneness, one of which we are all part of, from which we all arise and to which we all return. One of the main tasks of theology is to find a word that does not divide us, but unite, that does not create conflict, but unity, that does not hurt, but heal. I want you to realize that even though we're in a very scary time in this country, that there is a massive family that's here to support you. And all you have to do is take the initial steps to be welcomed with open arms, no matter where you come from, who you are, rich, poor, no matter what corner of this country you are in, you can participate in this program. And I encourage you to reach out to us and to let us take you on a tour of what is going to be the ultimate wake-up call for this nation that is going to unite us together to prompt change that's so desperately needed in our country. Thank you.
Well, I want to say thank you for that. That's an absolutely lovely sentiment. And, we do need a lot more people like yourself and like Kamel who are prepared to stick their necks out and get huge events like this done. They're not easy to organize. Believe me, I know. All right. I'll be making sure that I publish the website address as soon as you get it to me. That's a promise.
Tomorrow.
Thanks for being here. Take
care.
Thank
you. See ya.
See you. All right, Eduardo, you get your last word, because I know you're doing this with your finger. You're dying to say something. Yeah, go ahead.
Again, I'm going to say it one more time, guys. Silence is consent. It's only one day. Get your kids out of school. Show up to these rallies. The government will listen, and they're going to freak out when there's millions of people showing up. It's only one day. You'll have fun. And I'm hoping it's going to be the same experience we had in the truckers rally, maybe even better. The government can't ignore millions of people. And I know there's tens of millions of you that are on board with what's going on. Leave the kids alone. Get back to math, reading, writing, arithmetic, physics, geography, history.
Yeah.
History.
Physical education, auto body. You name it.
Together we can pull this off. Thanks, Kevin.
No, thank you, Ed. Appreciate that. That's the lovely Ed Janisek, who's got hair that's usually all over the place. He combed it. Thanks for doing so, Ed. We love you, buddy. We truly, truly do. My name is KevinJJohnston. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. This is the Kevin J. Johnston Show that runs every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, and 6 p.m. Pacific Time. We never, never, never miss a beat. Even when I'm sick, the show still goes on. Thank you all for being here. See you soon. Love you all, and good night.
Is the center of our gravity. Home is not a privilege that is granted by Her Majesty. A home is our right, a place to raise our family. Home is where we go for tranquility and sanctity. Home is where we feel at peace and we can have some privacy, where I can voice my thoughts and nobody tries to silence me. Home is where commotion turns to settling dust. Home is where we raise our kids to be better than us. And home is more than just a house. Home is where there's unity. Home is where we gather. Home is our communities. Home is the connection that we share when we trust. Home is not about me. Home is about us. Home is the guiding light within that we feel drawn to. Home is the source of our creation we belong to. Let them try with their lies meant to pull us apart. We always find our way home because we know it by heart.
All these long and lonely roads, they wind and bend, they find me friends, they lead me home. And I know no matter where
countries. Home is the earth below, the sky above me. Home is the truth we instinctively know, helping us to find home everywhere that we go. But there's many false prophets trying to lead us astray, who want to tell us what to do but not hear what we say. They ignore us while they play their game of righteous pretend, like we don't notice that their rules ain't applying to them. While our children have lost their future, made to cover up their faces, forced to get injections for attendance at their favorite places. Where does it end? When we take to the streets, the government won't call a hearing, they just call the police. And to the faceless stormtroopers, where is your humanity? Just following orders is no excuse for your insanity. It's time to cut the rod out at the source like a cavity. It's time to go home and realize that we're a family.
All these lone and lonely roads, they wind and bend, they find me friends, they lead me home. And I know no matter where I roam, I'm watching love from high above, I'm not alone.
Do you recognize this country? Is this the way you like to live? Constantly harassed to put a mask upon your wife and kids. Cops with riot packs who like to act as if no rights exist. Alive, but we're not really living. What kind of life is this? The world is full of risks, but we don't need protection, cause all of their solutions are much worse than the infection. If we want resolution, we need unity, not politics. Why should we trust somebody who's broken so many promises? But maybe this was meant to be and had to happen all along. The cycle's always spinning and it's darkest right before the dawn. It's funny, to the point of laughing out loud, cause what they said would never happen, well it's happening now. And so many are waking up. Welcome to the front lines. The ones who know behind the clouds will always be the sunshine. You and I see through the lies, no longer alone, and let the compass in our souls guide and carry us home.
All these long and lonely roads, they wind and bend, they find me friends, they lead